Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. So continuing on with the Audi TT, we have quite a lot of diagnosis to do now. So in the last video, we got the fuel pump changed, we got the fuel pump control module changed. I removed the new injectors from the intake, and I also put the old injectors, which the previous owner took out of the car. If you haven't watched the previous video on the TT, make sure to click up here and watch the first video so you can keep up to date with where we are with the TT. So following on from changing the injectors back to the original injectors, these are the coils. These are the coil packs, and I do have the spark plugs right there, and those are the ones that the previous owner took out, and these are the coil packs that the previous owner took out. So we have two NGK coils, we have a Bosch coil, and then we also have a VW Audi coil. So we've got three different types of coils inside of this engine, and we also then have 4 Bosch spark plugs. So due to the fact that I changed the injectors back to the original ones and now the car is running, what I'm actually going to do is just go back to square one. I'm going to undo all of the work that the previous owner done. Sorry Rob if you're watching this, but we're gonna have to get it done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull the new coils and the new spark plugs out, and I'm gonna put the old ones that were already in there back in, and we're gonna see how it's running then, because apparently Rob, who I bought the car off, he bought the car and it was running, but it had a misfire. So he changed all of these different components, which then led to the car not even starting. So I'm gonna go back to square one, back to hopefully when it's running and just a single misfire, and then maybe we can sort that out, and then I'll have to buy new coils, maybe new spark plugs, and we'll go from there. So to get the coil packs off, we literally just have to pull this electrical connector. So that's the electrical connectors off, and then these coil packs, they should just come out, but these ones are really, really tight. Oh. So let's grab the new or the old spark plugs, and we'll put these ones in. Now we've got the old spark plugs in, I'm going to put the old coils in. So now we have the old coils and the old spark plugs and the old injectors in. Let's give this bad boy a start up and see how it goes. Oh, that sounds much better. It's definitely got a misfire, but oh, that's so much better. So we do currently have a misfire on cylinder 4, which is coming up specifically for cylinder 4, but then we also have a random misfire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the cylinder 4 misfire. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the coil pack from cylinder 4 over to cylinder 3, and obviously cylinder 3 into cylinder 4, and then see if we have a move of the misfire, see if the misfire goes from cylinder 4 to cylinder 3. If it does, then it's the coil pack, and if it's not that, then I'm going to swap those back over, and then I'm going to change the spark plugs over and see if the spark is the issue. So I just forgot to mention that if anyone's doing this themselves, this is a BWA engine or BWA engine code. So yeah, obviously if you've got that same code, then this will be exactly the same for you. So we're getting 15, 18, 20, and that every single one is in cylinder 4 misfire. So yeah, we still have cylinder 4 misfire, so we're gonna have to swap over the spark plug and see if that changes anything. I just got spark plug number 4 out of cylinder 4, and it's actually got a little bit of oil on the spark plug, so I don't know if maybe that's what's causing the misfire. I'm now going to get the plug out of number 3, and that looks like it's got a little bit of oil on it as well, but only around the seal. There's not actually any on the threads or on the actual spark. Let's put that into number 4 and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so with the spark plugs and the coil packs swapped over, we're still getting misfires. Cylinder 4 is having quite a lot of misfires, so there's definitely something internal. It's not spark, it's not ignition, which is causing this misfire. So we're gonna have to dig a little bit deeper. So I've just taken the TT for a drive for about 20 minutes. I've been letting it trying to get up to temperature. We definitely have an issue with the HVAC system, and also the fans are blowing constantly, which means we have some sort of coolant temperature issue, which might be thermostat, or it might be the engine coolant temperature sensor. So that's something that we can figure out later. The main thing I want to focus on right now is that cylinder 4 misfire. So I just done a quick health scan on the diagnostics machine, and it's coming up with ignition activation cylinder 4 open circuit. So little did I know at the time, I've now done a bit of research on this code, and it's actually come up with a timing issue. So there's a correlation issue, which basically means that the timing's out, and they potentially could have some bent valves and some damaged pistons and XYZ. There's so many different possibilities to what could have happened. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to jump back into the car, and I'm going to do a compression test on all 4 cylinders and see what the compression is, and then we can see where we need to go from there. So I've actually got the compression tester, and I'm just going to get compression on each 4 cylinders. We want them to be pretty much around the same. I believe we want them to be anywhere between like 150 to 200 psi. So I'm just going to put this into cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, cylinder 4, and get some readings. So let's quickly go crank the car over and see what the compression is on cylinder 1. So on cylinder 1 we're about 175, which is good. Let's go for cylinder 2. So on cylinder 2 we're looking at about 175 as well, which is great. Let's go for cylinder 3. Cylinder 3 about 175, and now on to cylinder 4. So cylinder 4 does actually have low compression. We're at about 125 on cylinder 4, so we definitely have some sort of compression issue there.
Oh, that sounds much better.
So because we had low compression on cylinder 4, I've got a boroscope. I'm going to put that down the spark plug hole and check out, see if the bore is scored, see if the valves are okay, XYZ. I want to just have a little look around and just see if there's anything going on that I can see visually before I start taking off the rocker cover and having a look at the valves and the valve train at the top. So I've just had a quick look off camera, and there's not really anything that I can see that looks crazy. The valves are pretty coked up with carbon, but there's nothing that I can really see that looks sort of out of the ordinary to sort of create a misfire. The only thing I am seeing is right there, the wall around this bit right here looks a bit wet. I think what I'm going to have to do is take off the rocker cover and have a look up the top end. There we go. Okay, so they're proving to be a bit of a pain. I think maybe I'll take the back one off, and then I'll take this one off there. So I finally got the rocker cover off, and I've just seen that the rocker cover gasket is absolutely solid. It's like plastic. Like I can literally, you can hear it crunch. Yeah, the whole thing's rock solid. So from this point of view, I can't actually see that there's anything wrong with the valve train. Everything looks kind of okay. I mean, this actually does look a little bit darker, but we actually have a cylinder 4 misfire, which is over here. So I'm trying to focus over here. The rocker arms look okay. The lobes on the cams look fine. Yeah, I can't really see anything here. So I think what I might do is just take off the intake again, and we can have a look down there. I don't want any debris going into the head, so I'm just going to place the rocker cover on top just so we can seal that off. So I've decided that before I take the intake off again, I'm going to take the combination chain cover off first, which is basically this part here. It's going to take all of this off here. I need to take the high pressure fuel pump off so we can get all of this off, and then we can look at the chain underneath here. All right, we can finally take this timing cover off. So I was thinking that I was going to see some sort of slack or loose chain, but it looks like this chain is pretty solid. It's not moving. It moves side to side a little bit, but there's no slack in it really. And obviously once it gets oil pressure, then it's going to tighten up as well. Like the bottom is super tight and the top has a very, very slight bit of movement, but nothing ridiculous. So yeah, the rabbit hole continues. Cam chain cover is back on, the tandem pump is back on. I guess now we're gonna have to just pull off this intake manifold again and have a look in there.
So the first thing I do to remove the intake manifold is just remove any electrical connectors, any breather hoses, fuel lines, anything that's going to get in the way. The next thing I'm going to take off is the throttle body. This can be quite a challenge because the bolts are pretty hard to see. What I would recommend is to take out the boost pipe from underneath, which then gives you plenty of room, and I actually use my electric ratchet to be able to just spin them out. And then you've got 5 long bolts at the top. You have a little gap through the manifold which you can take those off, and I just use a long little flexi magnet to be able to pull the bolts out. There is an M10 multi-spline support bracket at the bottom which also has a 13mm nut on it. Don't forget to take that off. But then it's just as simple as removing the intake, being careful that you don't damage the injectors because the injectors are inside of the intake.
Nice one. So we've got the intake off, and well, for the second time, and just taking these plates out. Go. So inside of there, you can see how coked up that is. So after speaking with my mate and trying to think about what I'm going to do next, I'm going to get the injectors tested. I'm going to make sure, just basically rule out the injectors, make sure that they're okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little port sleeves out, just these little sleeves in here. Going to clean those out.
So I'm actually re-recording this because the audio corrupted, but what I have done is I have tested the VVT solenoid, making sure that that's got resistance. So that had 10.8 ohms, which is within spec. I've got the injectors back, and they have all new seals in them, new filter baskets, new seals on the end, and new rubber O-rings. All of these are now cleaned, and inside of the valves are now clean as much as I can get them with, you know, just scraping all of the carbon off. So what I'm now going to do is put everything back together and see if anything has changed, see if the idle has smoothed out. I do need to buy a new rocker cover gasket because the gasket that I had is obviously toast. So once I've got it all back together, there's only one more thing that I really can do, and that is putting oil down cylinder 4 and doing another compression test and seeing if the compression raises. If you've got any ideas, make sure to leave them in the comment section below because I'm coming to a dead end. So we just picked up the new rocker cover gasket. I'm just going to get that installed, and then we're going to do another compression test on cylinder 4 to see if we do have an issue with the piston rings. And just like that. So now I've got the rocker cover all torqued down and everything is good. This is nice and solid. Everything is still reattached. I haven't actually got the PCV valves, the breather hoses, because they snapped. So I'm going to order new ones of those. I think that should be right just to get a compression test. So yeah, let's get that compression test on cylinder 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a bit of oil down cylinder 4. So basically I just put like a cap, that much worth, just straight into the cylinder. Let that drain in. And now we put the compression tester in. Hook that up. The compression did raise over all 4 cylinders, but only sort of 10 or 15 psi, which actually says to me that the piston rings aren't an issue. Maybe because I cleaned out the valves, there's raised compression on all 4 cylinders, but when I put the oil down the spark plug hole, there was no massive increase in PSI in cylinder 4, which would actually say to me that there is a valve issue, which is good, because then what I need to do is actually just take off the head of the engine and then check out the valve train and obviously make sure that there's no bent valves or anything like that, which is actually great because for me, I don't actually have an engine crane or an engine stand. I don't really want to be taking out an engine outside and obviously having to strip it down outside, because, you know, it's something, building an engine, you have to be very, very clean, and it's just not going to be a clean job for me because it's outside. I don't have any sort of a garage or anything like that. So somewhere down the line we'll be taking engines out and we'll be rebuilding engines, but for now, well, I guess we kind of are rebuilding an engine, but just the top end. So I'm going to wrap today's video up here. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and let me know in the comment section below what you think the issue is with this engine. In the next video, we'll be taking off the head of this engine. We'll have to strip down the manifold, we'll have to take off the turbo, and this will actually be the deepest that I've ever gone into an engine, so I'm quite looking forward to it. But until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.